the buyer's perspective. If you've been following along at all this week, I've been doing a live every single day, 30-minute minimum. That's just a challenge for me to get better at speaking and being on camera, getting uncomfortable, and being able to spend time with you all. So I'm looking forward to this. Today, especially, we are going to be doing my first product review, live product review. And this is cool because as a buyer, I would do this all the time. We would have products come in, I would review them, decide what I like, what I don't like, ask questions, look at the ingredients, take a peek at the packaging, and all of the things that went into a decision on whether or not it made it to the shelf or not. And we're going to kind of give you a sneak peek of what that really looks like, have some fun with it, and try the products together. Well, not together, you know what I mean. But I'm just excited to do this. And, today we are doing a showdown between two really cool products, really cool brands and products. I'm trying to share my screen here. Let's see. Here we go. Boom. All right, so we got Pepsi, who came out with a prebiotic cola cherry vanilla. They also have a standard Pepsi prebiotic soda, and we're putting it right up against the Poppy cherry cola. The reason I think this is so cool, if you did not realize this, Pepsi bought Poppy. I don't know which month it was. It was in 2025, later 2025, and Pepsi bought Poppy, but then shortly after released this prebiotic soda of their own. So I think that there's a little bit of, thoughts out there about like, what's the reasoning behind that? Why would you buy this company for $2 billion and then go and release your own version of it? And before we get into the actual sampling and everything, I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on that. And I don't know, I don't have an inside knowledge on this. This is just my hunch, but my guess is Pepsi was already working on this design or this formulation, and they were looking at producing this and getting it out to market as quick as possible when they knew that Poppy and Olipop and all these other brands were coming out with their prebiotic sodas and taking the market by storm. So they were already in development, I'm sure, well before the Poppy conversation happened. And when they bought Poppy, they just didn't slow it down and they just kept going. And I think what they are doing intentionally is they are taking a product that is a little bit more, it's known to be more premium. It already has a natural orientation or presentation to the customer. It has a premium feel to it. And then they're bringing their own version that has that trust that the conventional consumer already has. So they're essentially trying to hit both sides of it. And I don't think it's a bad move. I think when I looked at it on the shelf, you see the pricing is very different. I think it was $2.79 for Poppy and $1.99 for a single can of Pepsi. So they are trying to hit both that natural customer that's willing to pay a little bit more for the better ingredients and the conventional consumer that is maybe looking to trade up, but they're not quite ready to spend $3 on a single can of soda. There's just something to be had by that. And I think there's a lot of smart people at Pepsi and these big companies that they wouldn't make it this far if they hadn't put some thought into it. So that's just my hunch on how they got there and into that section of that timing too, which I think everybody thought was pretty funny. Very interesting timing at least. All right, so this first product review, typically when I was doing these reviews, I looked at it in a certain way. And I always talk about this where a buyer is at first just a consumer. When a consumer walks up to the shelf, the first thing that they are going to see is packaging. So that's the first thing I look at when we are talking about these products. So we're going to get into that first. So we've got the Poppy, we've got the Pepsi here, we got the two cans. And let's take a look at Poppy first. So Poppy, it's known to have this dark background, and the color matches kind of the flavor profile. So you can see it's cherry cola, so it's got this kind of purplish color as the background, and then with the red cherries popping out as the centerpiece here. I think this part is cool. For me, I get lost in the flavor. Like, you can tell there's cherry of some sort by the image, but for some reason, I think up here the coloring of the cherry cola being called out in red versus prebiotic soda. I don't know if you can see this. So prebiotic soda is in white print, but then when you turn the can, the flavor is in red. And to me, it's just an easy fix, like refinement. But when you're walking up to a set as a customer or a buyer, and you're looking at all of these different options out there, it's really important to highlight that flavor and being very prominent in what it is, especially when you're looking at a item like this. It's ready to drink, instant consumable. You want to capture that feeling that people want. Like, that flavor is what people want. Secondary would be the benefits to it. Typically speaking, everybody's going to be a little different, but that's the way I would look at this, and really I would find a way to make cherry cola pop a lot more in this can. For the Pepsi version, we've got Pepsi classic branding. I don't really have too much to say about this. I think they did a great job. The white background makes it a lot easier to call all of these things out. And seeing the prebiotic cola, it's big, it's very prominent here, and the flavor right underneath it, super easy to tell. So if I'm looking at this from 3 or 4 feet away, I know exactly what I'm getting. And if you saw the picture that I took of the set, this was in the far top left corner, and I was able to pick it out really quick because of the white background, and the flavor just popped right out. This, I literally had to look through the Poppy flavors and say, do they have a cherry cola or anything that's close to the Pepsi? Because I wanted it to be as close in flavor as possible. And it took me a couple seconds to figure this one out. So that's what I would say about packaging part of it. Then the next thing that I look at is the ingredients. What kind of ingredients are they, or new ingredients and nutrition value is it bringing? My room is kind of dark in here, and I'm just realizing this. It's a little hard to read. So on the Poppy side, I'm just going to list them off. We've got sparkling water, cassava root fiber, organic cane sugar, natural flavors, apple juice concentrate, organic apple cider vinegar, organic agave inulin, natural tartaric acid, stevia, leaf extract, and natural caffeine. So both of these have about 40 milligrams of caffeine. These ingredients, they're very simple, but there are quite a few in here, but they're all like real ingredients. And what I would say in the Pepsi version, I took a look at this earlier, it's kind of interesting, but they use carbonated water, whereas Poppy uses sparkling water. Cane sugar is next. It's not organic, so none of this is organic in the Pepsi product. We've got soluble corn fiber. So where they had cassava root, this is corn fiber. Then we've got caramel color, which I would expect from a Pepsi product. Natural flavor and phosphoric acid, I can speak today, stevia extract, and caffeine. So it's actually a shorter list, but some of the items in here, like the caramel color, it's known not to be very great for you. The natural flavors in both, those are getting a little bit of heat right now too. And then the corn fiber versus cassava root, I think I would take the cassava. Not necessarily, I'm not a big nutritionist person, but I feel like just my basic understanding of cassava is a healthier option than the corn fiber. And I think overall, this you know, it, like I said, it's a step up from the conventional Pepsi, but it's not quite in here to the natural premium space. So the price points match, $1.99 a can. You're still getting some prebiotic fiber, but you're not paying for all of these natural ingredients, which just happen to be more expensive. And then the one thing here, I mentioned the fiber. So that's the big pull on these items. And when you look at them, they both actually only have 3 grams of fiber, which honestly, I was a little surprised and disappointed. I feel like there's some other brands out there that have more fiber in them, which is, again, that's the reason that people like the function that people want. I think that there was some legal issues in the past, and maybe that's what caused them to make some adjustments. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was a labeling on how much fiber was actually like being able to be retained or absorbed into the body. So that could have been something into it, and they're just being a little bit more realistic with the numbers. But 3 grams, like, I think this is a really good point. If you're going to look for a soda like this, prebiotic or not, people, I believe, think and care more about the flavor. Like, it doesn't matter if it has 10 grams of fiber or 15. If it tastes like shit, I'm not going to buy it again. So the flavor profile that they were going for, and like all of the different varieties that they have, it drives people's emotions into buying and being intrigued by what that flavor is, or bringing back nostalgia and valuing that. And that's really where all of these prebiotic sodas will win. It's in the flavor profile and the taste, not necessarily the actual function, because 3 grams of fiber is not going to do shit for you. Like, literally, it's not going to make you shit your pants like some people think that it will. All right. I think it's time that we pop these open. The next thing I would look at after taking a look at the package, the ingredients, the nutrition, you got to taste it, because taste is king. Unless this is a wellness item where it truly is for a very specific function, people want it to taste good or they're not going to rebuy it. So before I get to cracking, throw in the chat, you know, what do you think is a better product from just what we've shared today? Throw in the chat if you think that Poppi is going to win or Pepsi is going to win on packaging and ingredients. And then when we go through, I'll ask again, what do you think is going to win on taste? I have a feeling. I actually texted my my friend who works at Poppi, and they said, "Oh, Poppi's gonna win." And I have a feeling I'm gonna like Pepsi more, only because I haven't tried either of them. In my experience, these natural brands that come in and try to dupe a flavor from Coca-Cola or Pepsi or like the standard, they can get close, but it's never perfect. But this is truly Pepsi. So I have a feeling that this is going to hit the mark for me, but we'll see. All right. I don't have super long fingernails, but I think this is what the YouTubers do and everything when they get a drink like this. They got to tap the can. Let's do it. All right, we're breaking into the Pepsi first. Ow. Actually, I want to do Poppi first. So, inaugural can tap. Got a glass here. We'll pour in so you can see the color. All right, it's a little dark in this room, so it looks like cola to me. It's a little light on the color. Okay, I've had Poppi before. I have not had their cherry cola, which is great for this because I'm comparing it to the Pepsi one. Like I said, they can get close. I think this is pretty darn good for a cherry cola. It's a little bit more cherry forward than I think some of the classic like cherry Pepsi or cherry Coke tastes like, and definitely not as bubbly. These are just known. They've got sparkling water in it. It's not necessarily carbonated like the Pepsi is going to be, so it's not as bubbly and a little bit smoother. All right, let's get into the Pepsi. All right, this one's cherry vanilla, so it is going to be a little bit different just naturally. All right, I don't know if you guys do this. I think it's pretty unique, but if you see that, I always as I tip my Pepsi can over my keyboard. All right, so I spin my tab this way. Everybody that has ever seen me do it is wondering like, what the hell is that about? And just a quick story, back in like 7th grade, I was at a party and we had all these cans around and everything like that. And so I just flipped it so that I knew it was mine. And that's become a habit literally since that time. So for probably close to 30 years. But we're going to go ahead and pour this out now. Let's see how it goes. All right, you can see it's a little bit more bubbly. Like I said, it's more carbonated. You can hear the fizz coming up, and it's a little bit darker color. I think that comes from the caramel colors, the caramel color that they add. Let's give it a try. All right. Damn, that's close. Okay, so I know it's not apples to apple. This one has vanilla. I'm not usually a vanilla, like cherry vanilla or vanilla Coke or anything like that. I'm not usually that kind of fan, but it's pretty good. I'm gonna say I think on taste, I gotta try Poppy again. It's really close, you guys. All right, it's not as close as I thought. Having them so close together like that, I was correct in my original statement. I think Pepsi takes the win on the overall flavor and the carbonation and things like that, like just what you would expect if you grew up with the normal stuff, right? Like the old school sodas and things like that. I think if you're a younger kid, you're probably going to like the Poppy better, because if you haven't been exposed to a lot of soda and you just pick up a Poppy, you're going to love it. It's a great product. And I think for me, just with my experience with soda and getting a little burpy here, it just hits the mark. Like I said, it's Pepsi, So it's funny. My daughter saw me post a teaser video about this yesterday, and she commented on my TikTok and she said, "Make sure to save me some." I don't know that I'm going to be able to save this for her. All right, guys. I'd love to hear what you think. What's your take on packaging? And if you've tried this, let me know in the comments if you've actually tried either one of these and which one you like best. If there's another brand that you're interested in trying, let me know. I might give that a try next. Yesterday, just so you know, I dropped my car off at the dealership, got some work done, so I didn't have a car. I walked to get a haircut, and then Safeway is right there, so I just went into Safeway, which is why I came up with these two products. It's not necessarily the best place for finding cool new items at least in the more natural space. So this was a good compromise and example of like being able to take these two items and bring them together. But if you have any categories or types of products that you're interested in seeing, let me know. Like, throw it in the comments, and I'll do some more of these product reviews. All right. Let me check the comments. This is the first live. This is live stream number 8, and finally the comments are popping up where people are actually in here and I can see them. Before it wasn't working. So let me see what's going on in comments, and then we'll take it from there. So Brandy said, it's wild that Pepsi would compete against itself. That was actually my initial interaction or like reaction to it. And I think after going through it in my head and understanding the price points and the customer that they're going after, it definitely made a lot more sense. But that was my first reaction too. Cindy said, here, I thought they would just put items on the shelf where it would fit. I mean, that is part of it. Sometimes you don't put an item on the shelf because it doesn't fit on the shelf. I did some set reviews as well, like where we actually looked at a section and talked about how you fit the product on the shelf and facings and how much space to give it and things like that. So it is actually part of it. All right, Brandy said, as a buyer, how do you decide where and how to place each of these similar items on a shelf? All right, so that's a great question. I think as a buyer, you have a strategy that you're working towards that the retailer is really putting together. You might have a play in it or you might not. But at the end of the day, you have some strategy that you are working towards. And if that is new seasons, like I was working at, being more natural forward, and we were really into more variety and carrying unique items, it became a little bit easier. It was fun because we would go lean in and like try to find those unique items and bring more variety in. If you're more on the conventional side, your strategy is hedging against the club markets. You look for different size formats of similar products. You look at top selling SKUs, and then maybe a little bit of fun with like innovation and natural, organic, but it's not as much about more variety and flavors and brands. It's more about the size formats that you have. And that really can drive the decisions of when an item like these to go together on the shelf or not. Now, this being Safeway, they have, I'm sure, a big partnership with Pepsi. So it's a good, strong relationship. And clearly they wanted to support them in this. If I was looking at this from new seasons, I wouldn't bring in the Pepsi version. They only have 2 flavors. I think that is a little weird to just launch with 2 varieties, especially when you're Pepsi. Like, to me, I think 4 flavors at minimum would have been the way to start, and work your way up to 6 or 8, depending on how that launch went. But that, being Safeway, big conventional retailer with a big conventional manufacturer, totally makes sense that they have both there. All right. Poppy is my vote for taste, but packaging for Pepsi. I like it. Yeah. Ryan said Poppy is mine. Jessica said, for me personally, I would choose Poppy for ingredients. Pepsi will likely taste better because of the natural flavoring. Yeah, I think so. The Pepsi, they've got their formulas down. I said this, but one thing to call out too, I don't know if you caught it, but there are natural flavors in, let's see, where does it say? I'm pretty sure I saw natural flavors in here. Yeah, natural flavors are in Poppy as well. So, and I don't think that was a Pepsi change. I think that was in Poppy beforehand. So it was just the average, the normal formula for what they were doing. So it's a interesting point. I think the caramel color and the carbonated water, those things come together, and the amounts of natural flavors or the types that they're using, that probably leans more towards the Pepsi. All right. Let's see. Jessica likes cherry Dr. Pepper. A Dr. Pepper version. We have, I think Poppy has Doc Pop. I think that's what theirs is called. And then the Olipop has, oh man, what is it? Dr. Goodwin, which it's one of my favorites. I'm a Dr. Pepper person as well. It's a good option. Kenny said Pepsi has a lot of bravado, and also they're going after a different customer. 100% agree with that. Nicole Ann, you said you have me wanting to try Poppy now. People are trying to be healthier, so I see them branching off. They win either way since they are all Pepsi. That's true. They are. I mean, that's part of the acquisition is to get that market share, which we see a lot more of with the big companies going after the natural companies. And they aren't going to cannibalize Pepsi customers. It's bringing in additional customer. Pretty much, yeah. So Olipop, it's funny that you say that. So Olipop is the big Poppy competitor. And their whole thing is going after trying to trade a conventional soda customer up into a better soda. And they've done a really good job with marketing on that and getting the flavors down and having a wide assortment of variety to support that goal. And I think it's still working towards it. It's a hard jump when you pay, 99 cents for a can of regular soda versus $2.99 or even more in some cases. So yeah, it's definitely a hard jump, and you have to find the customer that is truly wanting to do better and able to spend that money. So good call out though. All right, guys. Well, we're just about wrapping up. We've got a few more minutes, and I'm able to take some more questions. And I love the interaction and the fact that you jumped on and we're talking through this with me. This is my first product review. Like I said, I got some notes internally on what I want to do differently and how I can make this better. But if you guys have any specific categories you want me to try, I'm open to it. Throw it in the comments and I'll take a look at it. I'll also post those pictures up on LinkedIn and get some content about that as well. But ultimately, I think today the winner is Pepsi as an overarching, because they do own both. So for this particular matchup, I do think the cherry vanilla Pepsi is the winner. And I said I wasn't going to save any for my daughter, but I'm gonna save her some. I'm not going to drink 2 cans of soda right now, so I'm going to save her some. Hopefully she likes them, but I'll report back with how she feels on which one she likes better. You guys, it's been great chatting with you. And tomorrow, just as a heads up, I'll be going live. I'm aiming for the same time. Weekends are tough getting family things together, so I don't know. I didn't schedule it. That's the thing that is a little bit tricky on the weekends, but tomorrow I'm going to talk about just general like nutrition and health items and talk through. I wanted to just share some of my journey with like weight loss and like what I've done to kind of make evolutions with where I was, because honestly, I'd say probably 10 years ago, I was at 280 pounds and I was drinking regular soda like crazy. I was eating fast food all the time. I wasn't working out. And to get to where I'm at now, I'm not where I want to be, but man, it doesn't take a lot to just make little tweaks. And I wanted to just share that for anybody who wants to listen and kind of get some advice on how you can start small and just work your way through consistent action. Because honestly, it doesn't take a lot. You just need to be showing that consistency. And I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. I'm going to bring some recipe ideas on how you can do some swaps, especially if you're a sauce person. If you like to get saucy, I have some good ways to make some alternatives to some popular sauces like the buttermilk ranch that you would get at restaurants, the Chick-fil-A sauce, Taco Bell quesadilla sauce. Like I've got some good alternative recipes, so I'll bring those and share that with you guys and talk through what it is that you can do to make these little tweaks and really make some big improvements. Anyway, really appreciate you guys joining. being interactive. I love it. And I'll catch you tomorrow.